So I want to talk today about this evilness, this hatefulness that seems to take over people. Men too, but I especially see this hateful attitude, and they feed on it, and it gets worse as the encounter goes on. It's like an anger, but they enjoy it. They smile, they smirk, their eyes change. They definitely feed off of this hatefulness, and I, I look at it as like an evil, maybe an evil into letting evil into you. That's what I see in this, and I've seen it in a lot of women in my life. I'm gonna try to use the ones who I spent more time with and examples of this. Actually, I won't even start with my mother. So we're gonna start with a doctor. I went into the hospital after a seizure and some other encounter that was really traumatic. When I got to the emergency room, my whole face was swollen like Frankenstein. Black and blue, much bigger than it's supposed to be, all the way down my face. Not good. And I've had something happen to me after that that wasn't good either. Right after my seizure, I couldn't get to the hospital, and the company I was with wasn't handling it properly. So while in the hospital, I shared this with the doctor and the nurse, and it was really hard to share the traumatic part of it. The nurse and the doctor are in the hallway joking. Well, the doctor is making a joke of my matter, and the nurse is taking it seriously, telling him that I need to go upstairs and have a lot of exams done, special exams that go along with what happened to me, the seizure, that they have a lot of tests. The doctor himself is making a joke out of this and basically belittles the nurse, belittles me, and then the nurse gives up and walks away. Instead, I get released with no treatment, no medical care whatsoever. They just basically inject me with a bunch of seizure medication and send me on my way. I can't even walk, by the way. I'm dizzy. I'm falling down. I can't even make it to the bus stop. I can't use a phone properly. It's just a horrible, messed up situation. And it all had to do with a doctor who thought that his job wasn't important, and he was let this evil snarkiness into him. He was treating that nurse inappropriately. What he was saying about the patient was inappropriate. The fact that he was not giving the proper treatment when the nurse thinks that it needs to be done, as well as the doctor completely ignored everything that was going on physically. There was a traumatic event after I was reporting, but there's also a whole nother event too. The seizure itself and the actual injuries, and that they got that on paper, but there was a lot more testing that needed to be done, and they wanted to do it. But this, you could hear the doctor in the hallway all smirking. That's why I go to different hospitals now, and I get way better treatment. There's one doctor in my town that has this smirky evilness. He just goes around and he hates his job, and he makes a joke and an asshole out of himself. And you can see this as it takes him over. You can see this I don't give a fuck, I'm going to do whatever I want attitude, even if it gets other people hurt. And that's the problem with it, letting this smirky, um, witchy, when you call a woman a witch because they're acting a certain way, that's kind of what I'm talking about. This is when people get so ignorant that they get other people hurt. Like, for instance, let's say I'm having a lot of seizures, what I am, and there's a relative of mine from 15 years ago that's responsible for hitting me on the head with a brick. And I'm talking about it, and this person doesn't want anybody to know that he did this to me, or she did it, or whatever. So they decide to come up with this plan on their head, and they decide, oh well, I'll ask them what his doctor's name is. So the person calls me, apologizes for everything, and then asks, I want to make it up to you. What's your doctor's phone number? Then I give the doctor's name and phone number, and this relative ends up calling the doctor and trying to get me hurt instead. They make up a bunch of one liners to get me hurt. That would be that snarkiness. They felt like they were going to get into some type of trouble or something, so they came up with this plan, and then they called my doctor, and then they decided that they were going to make up a bunch of one-liners to try to get me hurt. That would be that letting that evil into your heart. I'll give you more examples of this as well. So let's say that you go down to like a Department of Health and Services, something like that, a human service, like a kind of like a welfare type office, something like that. You go down there, and they pretty much give you attitude right from the rip at the window. They smirk at you and go, "It's not our problem you're poor. Maybe they should put all you guys down anyways." You know, comments like that, where they just don't care. They just are hurtful, they're evil, but those ones aren't even the biggest problem. It's where they purposely get vindictive about it. It's when they start trying to get people hurt with their language. That's the evil I'm talking about. I'll give you another example. My mother ended up trying to make sure I couldn't get proper medical care. I'm going to go over this one. This is my adopted mother. She gave me an overdose of pills at age 7, and I knew about it obviously. It was the worst day of my life. When I was at the doctor's, they asked me if there was anything ever that they should know about, any reactions. We weren't talking about allergies at this point. This is the first or one of the first appointments. And I bring up this awful night where I was given a handful of pills and I lost ability to see, lost ability to feel, my breathing slowed down. I couldn't, I was crawling on the carpet and couldn't quite feel the carpet. I couldn't talk either. My voice was slurred, and then I couldn't talk at all. First, my mouth was slurred. It felt like I had marbles in my mouth while talking, and then I couldn't talk at all. And then I went out like a light. It was an overdose. And I brought this up at age 7 to the doctor the best I could. I don't really have all the words to describe an overdose at age 7, but I describe it well, and the doctor seems concerned. And all of a sudden, my mother gets scared. And so she comes up with an evil plan. She's going to say that it was just an allergy attack, so the doctor doesn't pay no attention to this. Just call it an allergy attack. They're not going to look into this. So she does. Well, now 25 years later, I am deadly hurt from this. She let evil into her heart. There was other times, right, where my mother used to go into a rampage screaming that I need to be schizophrenic. Why? Because she had some idea in her head and she wanted it to happen. I'll tell you another one. There was a woman I knew that my father ended up marrying later in life. I was eating whipped cream while playing a video game and the can went flat. Now, did anybody ask me about this? No. This smirky woman goes around saying that I was huffing one can. Now remember, this isn't multiple cans. And I have no idea how to do it that way. I've only done the whippets before this. And I openly talk about the whippet can and the balloons that I end up getting in Lola. I mean, I tried nitrous, but it wasn't great for my seizures, so it wasn't something I did. I tried it a couple times, and I was like, nope, not for me. So, yeah. But did she have a conversation about that? No. She goes around telling all my family members that I was whipping and getting high, with not even discussing the full situation with me and understanding that no, I just was eating it while playing a video game. I couldn't hold it upside down. But I mean, no. And that's just an evil thing to do. Instead of having a conversation, calming down, she got all upset and decided to hurt somebody with her words. I'll give you another example. Let's say that I end up going to the doctors for seizures and we're getting someplace. I'm on a seizure medication. I'm getting better. I'm getting more movement on my body. I'm finally able to explain myself better. And then somebody wants to call my doctor and decide to say, Zach's just a liar. Don't ever give him medical treatment. Don't help him. It'll be a waste of taxpayer dollars. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Well, let's say they did something like that. That would be that evil meanness that gets into your heart. That's that vindictive behavior. That's evil coming into you. doing something like that. Because if you don't know that person, if you haven't spent time with that person, I mean, like, yeah, you got to get to know their medical conditions. That takes years. You got to spend and get to know them. Kind of like a boss gets to know their employees, or a family member that lives together gets to know the relatives. I mean, if you spend 2 years living with somebody, you get to know them. I mean, but if you spend 5 years, you really get to know them. And if you spend 10 years, you guys will know each other very well. Now, there'll still be problems. I mean, some people go in denial. Some people become addicts and want to hide their addiction. Some people are drunks and their mood changes. So there's always factors to consider. But letting evil into your heart is a common problem. You see it at the registers, you see it at the Department of Health and Human Services, you see it in family members. Something that you really got to look for in yourself. Because if you're getting people hurt with your anger and with the things you say, then you're really not doing the right thing. You are spreading hate, and it's contagious. If you decide, like I've seen young teenagers do it in school too, spreading hateful rumors. Oh, don't hang out with this person. They have hepatitis, or what was the one in high school I heard that was just bullshit? Herpes. They all used to spread. Oh, don't date her. She has herpes. When really she didn't. She just had a cold sore or something like that, and they would call her herpy girl or something like that, spread the rumor so nobody would like her, and the girls would spread the rumors about the other girls. And then at that point, somebody would say, well, we all have herpes from the cold sore virus. And that's all anybody had in middle school and high school. But one girl who had evil in her spirit, would go to another girl and say, don't hang out with Maggie. Maggie has herpes. And then they would spread it some more and more and more until it got to the boys and everybody, and nobody wants to date this girl. But you don't know what this girl's going to do from her loneliness. You've now ruined another life. You've stopped other people and situations from happening. You've spread evil. And there's many examples of people doing this in life. And it's something that I see all the time. I see it in my family members, my mother, my father's third wife. I've seen it even at a cookout. I have. I've seen people just let this evil into their heart, say something like hurtful, and sometimes it's it doesn't do any serious damage. It just is a hurtful statement. But other times it becomes hurtful. Like let's say that somebody called my work. Let's say this one. I'm working. I'm the best employee. I'm getting Employee of the Month. Let's say. But then somebody wants to get me fired, and they get the phone number of my company and they start spreading a rumor that I'm a thief. They just call, say, Zach's a thief, don't trust him. Zach's a thief, don't trust him. Well, then let's say my coworker Jess takes a 20 from the safe, and then I get fired. You've now cost me my livelihood. You've now cost me everything because of your rumor. I know nothing about that. I don't know that Jess took that 20, and I don't know that you were spreading a rumor, but I'm the one who has to pay the price for it. So keep that in mind. That's a good example. If somebody has that much hate in their heart to call and spread something they can't possibly know is true, or they want to just believe it in their head because they're an evil person. I'm a cup is half full type of guy, and I have hope in humanity, and I need usually good proof to really tell if somebody is telling the truth to me or not. I'm going to just take your word on something and make sure to keep it in the back of my mind. I'm not going to take any bets on it, but I'm going to take what you have to say, and if you tell me it's truth, I'll just keep it in the back of my head that it's true. And then other facts will tell me if it is or not. And then I'll keep on adding these facts together. And if it doesn't look like it adds up, I'll go to the individual and say, this doesn't add up. Why is this? And then you just look into stuff. You spend the time getting to know what's going on. But I can see situations like that. Like I'm doing great at work. I was never a thief in my life, or in my real life, I've stolen a couple things while in childhood, as well as when I was homeless. I stole a shirt and a pair of pants for some gang members outside. I owed them some money for benzos, and I had to run out, and I got tackled, and it didn't end up good. So I have stolen a pair of shirt and pants in my life as an adult, but other than that, I'm not no thief or anything. I'm the opposite. I'm the guy who gets stuff stolen from and does nothing. I'm the guy who returns your shit a mile away. I'm the guy who chases customers down because they gave me $1 extra. That happened today. I'm the opposite of a thief, and that's because I have stolen before in childhood as well as one or two times as an adult. One at 19, or no, one at 18, and then one in a store. And then there was like, I guess there was some cream for burns and some medical wraps I needed to get when I was homeless. I did take some medical wraps. But it's not like I'm any special thief. I'm the guy who chases you down and gives you money. I'm the guy who chases you down because you dropped something. I'm the guy who you can put $100 in front of me and it'll be there a month later if you say that, oh no, just leave it there. I'm the guy where people leave their phones, jewelry, everything around. I'm that guy. Now, let's say I've never stolen anything in my life. I'm not that guy. Let's say I'm just something even better. I'm just a saint. I'm the best employee. I've never stolen anything in my life. But somebody runs me over with their car, and then I'm pressing charges against them. But they want to make sure that I have a worse situation because I'm bringing them to court. So they call my work and they spread this rumor that I'm a thief. They had call. They spread rumors. And then one of my coworkers actually steals something. You know they're going to blame the employee with all the rumors on him. And then I get fired. And then I get more injured. I get sick and I'm in the hospital. Well, that's due to somebody else's actions. That's the evil that's in other people, mostly women, but I see it in men too. And we got to look into ourselves to be truly happy, and we can't have that. We cannot have that hate inside of us. It's really important to keep that in mind. You don't want that hate inside of you where you want to call and cause trouble or make up stories or spread rumors. Or, I mean, if you don't have proof that something's going on, then you shouldn't be calling in the first place, as well as what are you trying to accomplish? You always got to think, what are the good things that will happen and what are the bad? And what am I trying to accomplish here? What are the risks? What am I gaining? What am I losing? What am I causing for this person? You got to think about people on the outside of your bubble. Well, your actions have consequences on other people. So you need to watch your own actions. You should always be making a positive difference. If you're making a negative difference in somebody else's life, then you're letting evil into your heart and you need to look inside yourself.